Hi, this is Sandy. Welcome to my Colorful Heart Magnets tutorial part 2. In this video, I'm not going to be talking step by step on how to make these magnets. I'm going to focus more on how you make multiples of the magnets to save time. And if you want to know individually how to make them, I suggest that you watch part 1 if you haven't yet. I really want to show you how you can cut corners and do things in an assembly line type way, and that I've done in the past when I did art shows and craft shows with items that I've made. It, you can look up every now and then and you'll be able to see, basically what I'm doing, but I won't necessarily be in step with my voiceover and the video as you see it. You can see that I basically cut out all of my papers that enough to go with as many hearts as I've picked to make, and I stack those, and I gesso the hearts, and I dry them and stack those, and then instead of using glossy accents to apply them like I did in the first video, it's a little more cost effective to use matte gel, so I used that with multiples, but otherwise it goes the same way. And then I sand them all together and then set them aside. And then when it comes time to do the inking of them, to color them, I pick out what colors I'm going to use. And if I'm going to do like 3 purples and 2 pinks, I do the purples together and then the pinks together and set them aside, and however many yellows I'm going to do and set them aside, and 1 blue, etc., and set them aside. And the same with distressing the fronts. And when I get that done, I dry them. And then when I do the liquid ink, distress ink, I do the same thing. If I'm going to do 2 pinks, I do those together, etc. And it makes it go quicker. You don't want to have to get a bottle of ink out, do 1, set it aside, then do a blue and set it aside, and then go back to purple, because it tends to slow you down if you do it that way. So decide ahead of time how many you're going to do of each one. Here you'll notice I'm doing a little bit of a different process than the others. That particular heart, I didn't like the way it looked with just the drips, so I actually put some on my surface, flipped the heart upside down and smeared it in it, and that's a little bit of a different way to do it, but I like the way it looks, so that's why you saw that a little bit differently. And then same with the backs. After they're dry, you do your blue ones together, your pink ones together, etc. When they're dry, you flip them over. Basically you want to do everything step by step as quickly as you can, and the same as you can, so that it goes smoothly. Now here I can do all of them in one step, where I'm gessoing all together at one time. I'm splattering gesso on the fronts, and that's something you can do all of them together. Same with here, where I lay out the paper dolls and I cut out the wings and put them with them, which ones I wanted to go on which heart. And I keep all of them laying on the heart they go with, so I don't get them mixed up. When I go ahead and stain the edges, I put it right back on the heart that it goes with, and dry them. When it comes time to do the glitter, on the wings, I do one side, set it down in front of the heart that they go with, and then I flip them over and do the other side. That way I know how that I've done which sides I've done. If they're flipped over and I've got glitter on them, I know they're done on both sides. Then when I do the acrylic on the other side of the wings, it's the same thing. And I know which sides have gotten both on it. And while I'm waiting, any of the hearts that don't have wings on the paper doll, in between while they're drying, I can put the paper doll on the heart. I mean, excuse me, I can put the glossy accents on the paper doll and apply it to the heart while the wings are drying, just to save that time. That's a step because you're not going to be doing wings. It alleviates a step and has that doll applied and ready to go. And so each step that you're taking, you're still doing something, and while you're waiting for something else to dry. And you're keeping everything in one, with the heart that it goes with, so you're not going to get them confused. And by the time you get to the end, usually of each of the wings that you've got to, they're pretty close to dry, so you can move on to the next step. And any of the paper dolls, when it comes time to apply them with the apply the wings to the paper dolls, it's all the same with the other video, except for one thing. Instead of applying the wings after you put the paper doll onto the heart, I go ahead when there's multiples and apply the wings to the paper doll beforehand. It just makes it a little smoother to do that when you have a whole bunch of them. So because otherwise you got to stop and you know mess with each little one at a time, and that takes more time. So when you're doing multiples, instead of putting the wings in after you've put the paper doll on the heart, it's easier to attach the wings to the paper doll and let them dry a teeny bit before you apply all of them at one step, because the whole goal is to do them all in one step instead of individually. And same with the glitter around the edges of the heart. You're going to pick out the matching colors like you did in one, and you're going to do all of, if you greens, do two greens, or the pinks around the edge, two pinks, or however many you've got. Do all the glitters at one time. And you can see here in this picture how I did the wings slightly different. But it's basically the same, except you're just applying the wings ahead of time. Once all the wings are attached and slightly dry, then you're going to apply the glossy accents to the back of the dolls, but not all of the back of the wing. Don't forget that. And then you do the same thing as far as holding the doll down and with your finger and curl the wings up so that the wings are dimensional and not glued down to the heart. And you do each one and set it aside. And keep going through the line until every one of your hearts has its doll on it, or should I say fairy or doll. And it'll go really quickly that way. And I slowed this one down a little bit so that you could see how I was doing the wings. I'm holding the center down and curling the wings. I wish that you could see glitter better in these. I love the way the glitter is so vibrant. And some of the glitters that you use, they don't have to necessarily match the ink that you use to distress. You can also match something else in the like the wings or whatever if you think that it would match better. Then once you've got all of them applied, basically you can go back through and if it, clip off any dress or anything like you did in one, but do them all together and then distress the edges all together where you any of the ones that you clipped a little bit off. All in one step. That goes quickly. And then you pick out your flowers for, matching colors for all of them at one time. And you pick out some quotes. And I just pick out a bunch of different kinds. I like to have a variety of like funny quotes and inspirational quotes and different kinds. And I randomly place them on them until I get the ones that I like. I don't press them down all the way because I never know if I'm going to change my mind. When I know that it's on the one I like, I run the edges of the thing over the quote over, the ink pad. And then I set it back on it. And then I match flowers that I like. But I don't push the quote all the way down until it's where I know I like it. Because see, like that one, I changed my mind and moved it. And then once I've got it where I know I want it, then I press it down. Same as the others. And then I apply, once all the quotes are down, then I apply all the flowers. And then I take the marker and go around all of the quotes. And then once that's done, I take the glossy accents and go around the edge first of the quotes and then do the center, because that way your quote, there's no chance that it could lift in any way. It'll stay down completely. And then do do the flowers, and then do the paper doll, the glitter, and then the paper doll. And I'm showing you different ones, but I do it all together on one and then set it aside and let it dry until you move on to the next one. And when you put the glossy accents, don't forget to use your finger. Then when they're all done with the glossy accents and it's dry, you put the magnets on all of them. The same way that you did in part 1 with the craft glue and the hot glue. And make sure you lift it up so you don't squish your fairy and the flowers. And hold it for a few seconds. And then once it's dry, you sign them because they're your works of art and you should be proud of them. And that's about it. If you have any questions, send me a message, and I hope you learned something. And if you have any ideas or anything, let me know. Thanks.